Hello everyone! The day has finally come where I can finally do an updated tutorial on how to jailbreak with the new Checkra1n version 0.12.0 on Linux. If you are new to jailbreaking, I'll quickly explain what it is. So, jailbreaking is a wonderful experience if it's done right. You can customize your iDevice into a bunch of cool and unique other ways. I'll get into a disclaimer for the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 as we go along here. So I do need to get into that as we go along with this tutorial. So, I want to mention before we get started, if you want to run a virtual machine like I am, try to get Linux on your Windows computer. I did a tutorial about that last year, so I will card that, or I will put that in the link in the description below. Before we get into the Linux tutorial, I want to mention very quickly that if you do not want to go through the Linux process and just want to boot directly from a USB flash drive or an SD card from your BIOS option, JustTech has updated his tutorial on how to do so with 0.12.0. I will card that right now, and I will also leave it in the description below for that link. So, that being all said, let's get started with the tutorial. So, first up, launch Checkra1n website. I'll have that in the link in the description below as well. That way you can find it. So, let's get into how this works. So, first up, go on to see all downloads. What we're going to do right now is launch the terminal. In order to find out what your machine is, type in the following command, lscpu, and what we're going to do right now is find out which one we got to download. So how do we find that? We look for architecture. I took a brief pause so that way I would collect my thoughts correctly. Architecture, x86 _ 64. Download that. Once you're done downloading that, go to your files, and it should be in File Manager. So if you're on Ubuntu, you should be able to find this. It will be in Downloads. What I want you to do is drag the file onto your desktop screen, so it will be right here, like what I did. So, next up, what you're going to do is click on Linux and follow the instructions. It's very easy to do. So, I will go along with you guys so that way you can understand the process. So, open up Terminal Emulator. Best thing I would recommend to do is just copy and paste everything. That way you don't get confused. So, copy, then launch the terminal, then hit paste. It should work. I do apologize. This normally does work, and I've done this in the past. I will try it again. Launch terminal again. If you're having an issue with it, keep trying, but I have done it before, so don't worry about it. Best thing you can do is, right, don't do this part. Only highlight one. Only highlight one. Okay. So what you can do is copy this and then paste it. No such file or directory. Okay. So if that doesn't work, I would recommend to do is type in this command, Terminal Emulator again. Type in your password. Okay, it should work. Give it a second. Now what you can do is try to enter this. If it goes through, Hit paste. Now, if it's not already installed for you, it should work. But it does work for me. Then, of course, you're going to follow sudo apt update. So now, once you're done with sudo apt update, we're going to go to our next step. Now, I have to issue another disclaimer here. Let me go to one of the steps. I'm going to type in right now on the terminal emulator is the following command. cd. We'll minimize the Firefox desktop. Do apologize. It was supposed to be small letters, because I'm reading the instructions from a tiny screen on my phone, so make sure it's tiny letters, cd desktop, then type in chmod plus x Checkra1n. Make sure it's a 1. Now, this is the most important part. You need to follow along with me. Do not type in /Checkra1n, because it will tell you to relaunch it with the administrative privileges. So to run it as administrator, you have to type in sudo /Checkra1n. Enter your password. And there we go. Checkra1n launches up. Figured maybe I could reinstall it again for the tutorial, but I guess not. But if you do want to follow the instructions once again on the website, very easy to follow. It's just that this is the hardest part to get into. So before I get my iPad 5th gen, and I'm going to grab it here in just a second, I want to mention that if you are going to experiment with the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10, I have to give you a strong disclaimer, and I learned this the hard way. I would highly suggest if your iPhone 8 or your iPhone 10 is a secondary device, I would experiment with it. If you have an iPhone 8 like I do and it's a daily driver, because honestly, I love my home button too much. The issue is, two issues I want to get into. Rocket Bootstrap is fully not working at this moment on the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10. Also, I want to mention something very important here. If you are going to be jailbreaking with an iPhone 8 and an iPhone 10, you need to hit the option that says skip all BPR check. Now, I will not be doing that because I'm using my iPad 5th gen. It works fine. So I will bring that up in another disclaimer. But when you do hit the option for the BPR check, you are not going to be allowed to use a passcode. So no passcode. Make sure when you do launch everything that there is no passcode, which that's what I will be doing at this particular moment. I'm going to make sure that there is no passcode on my iPad. That way I can have the Checkra1n tool launch on my device. And I will be showing everybody in a separate camera with my iPhone 8 at the end of this video, the Checkra1n logo popping up on my iPad. So as I am talking, once again, make sure you go to settings, tap the Touch ID and passcode, disable everything, because if you don't disable everything, that is going to be an issue and you will not be able to jailbreak. You will get an error 79 code, which we do not want that. We want to have it fully working. So I'm doing that right now. As we go along, I'm doing a voiceover because obviously I want you to make sure you get the gist about what's going on here. So plug in your iDevice. So we are going to plug it in right now. There we go. And it will now recognize my iPad 5th Gen. I will also mention that this at the moment does work on iOS 14.2, but I would recommend to stay away from 14.2 unless you're a tester and you want to, I guess, get involved with that. Highly recommend, if 14.1 is still being signed, do that, but try 14.2. Let me know how it works on your end, I guess. So hit start. Make sure you hit the enter button on your keyboard. So we're going to put the device into DFU mode, hit next. So now we're going to go into DFU mode. Now we're going to follow the instructions on the screen. I don't need to do what I did the last time because it's a simple process. If you follow the instructions on the screen, very easy to do. So we're going to tap on start. So for my iPad, it's going to be different. And I will mention if you're on an iPhone 8, iPhone 7, or an iPhone 10, they're going to tell you to hit the side buttons because the home button doesn't work for DFU mode like it used to back in the day. So here we go. Click start. Press and hold the top and home buttons together. And now we're going to hit the hold button on here. So now it's going to go into DFU mode. And I will put a picture of my screen. There will be a PIP. I will put that in the editor. That way you all can see what it is. And it does say 0.12.0 on my device, so that's a good sign that it is working. And it will boot up in a matter of moments. So this is a process that takes under 5 to 10 minutes if it's done correctly. But this is the excellent progress of what can happen when the Checkra1n team puts the work, puts the dedication into a tool that has been used in the past year. And I will say I had virtually no problems with my iPad yesterday when I used this tool. So right now I'm currently waiting for my device to boot up. So when that's done, I'm going to take you to my device and I'm going to show you the Checkra1n tool launching. So to briefly wrap up this video, I also want to mention that before you do anything else, make sure your device is on airplane mode and make sure your Wi-Fi is off, otherwise the process will not go well. I also want to mention that if you are experiencing any errors after you do jailbreak, that's completely normal. Don't worry about that. I did get error code 77, but my Checkra1n app did launch. That's very good news, so we're going to launch that. And make sure that you have your bootstrap option. So Cydia will be right here. You can hit install Cydia. And your device will reboot. Cydia will show up. It won't be like this in the bottom of the bar. But I will tell you that you do launch it up. And you do get Cydia. So let's make sure that we have it right here. 14.1. There we go. There you have it. That's how the new Checkra1n version works on Linux. When I do have the SD USB tutorial ready, I will have it all figured out and I will upload that. So thank you all very much for watching, and until the next one, please take care.